Hey, what is up everyone? Danny and Alex. Today we're going to talk about mixed martial arts. MMA basic techniques. Today, the first video is going to be covering some of the basic strikes. Alright, so keep in mind guys, before we start the techniques is I'm only going to cover 3 or 4 different punches. There's many more variations of the strikes, but it's to keep the video short for someone who's starting out in mixed martial arts. I just said mixed martial arts. That means that we borrow those techniques from our boxing as well as our Muay Thai program, alright? So it's a hybrid of both. So the first punch that you should always be practicing is obviously the jab. Right? Walk into any MMA or boxing gym, and they're going to teach you the jab as the first technique, and that's what we do as well. So the jab is simply snapping your lead arm out and bring it back, all right? So just a common mistake that some people will do before we start practicing is they'll throw it out perfectly and then loop it back downwards like this, like a circle, all right? So you don't want to dive your arm in this fashion. You want to snap it and bring it right back into position, all right? So if Alex throws a few left jabs, right towards my chin, right where my nose is, right here. Boom. That's his jab. Boom. Sometimes we'll also practice with a step. He's stepping it in, boom, to cover that distance. When we first start, it's static, right? That's his jab. But sometimes, in reality, if we're fighting, I'm not going to be as close, so he's going to have to step it in to practice that jab. And that's a good way to cover that distance. So the first punch is always going to be your left jab. Now the second strike is going to be the right cross, all right? So we're crossing the reverse punch, okay? So right here, that's his punch. Now, a few details. The first one, just like the jab, is don't loop it and bring it back downwards. What happens is when you do this and you throw your punch and bring it back down, if he throws the punch here and then loops it down, boom, now he's gonna get caught with a counter. Same thing with his jab. If he jabs here and then boom, he gets caught with a counter. So we always want to bring it back. So bring your hands back into position. So his jab is here, and then his cross is here. Same thing. Now the big difference is that you're turning all of your weight into the punch. That's why it's a power punch, right? So the cross is right here, boom, turn. Okay, so go, boom. That's his cross. And that is the second technique, but it's also one of the most important weapons because that's the one that's going to create the KO in mixed martial arts. Now the third punch is going to be the left hook, all right? This is a great punch, one that I like to favor a lot because it's one that catches you on the blind spot, all right? A lot of times when the hook comes, you're focused in the front and you don't see that angle on the side. So the left hook, when it throws, comes right on the blind spot, okay? So his left hook is here, boom, boom, boom. So just like in Thai boxing or boxing or even kickboxing, the left hook mechanic has to be you're turning your shoulder into the punch, okay? Now you can also opt to rotate on the lead foot, and sometimes we'll also throw it without the rotation of the lead foot, simply because we know we want to set it up, let's say with a kick or an elbow or a cross, right? So we don't rotate as much because it's more of a setup for the power side. But if you're just going to throw a hook with a great technique, you want to rotate and really drive the full body into the punch, which will require the pivot. Now the last punch we're going to cover is going to be the right uppercut, all right? So if you look at it, we covered the 4 basic punches, the jab, the cross, the hook, and now the uppercut, okay? So the right uppercut is just as the cross, the second punch. The only difference now, instead of throwing it straight, you're going to throw towards the ceiling, all right? So it comes right here underneath the chin, right? Sometimes between the hands, boom, right? So right uppercut, boom, from here, turn, 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 turn. And that is the right uppercut. Now, these basic punches, they don't practice themselves. So if you're serious about mixed martial arts, boxing, or Muay Thai, you have to get off the couch. You have to practice. Sometimes if you have a mirror, use the mirror as a guiding point where you can look at your hands, making sure you're returning into the proper position, the on-guard position. Make sure your stance is correct, that your feet are not placed one in front of the other like this, that you have a good distance between your feet, and your hands are up after the return of every punch. Most beginners, when they start, they don't have a problem throwing the punch. The issue comes in with the return, and that's what we want to train a lot. So if you have a mirror, look at yourself and always go slow, return your hands into a proper position, and then subconsciously, you don't even have to think about that anymore. When you start training and making combinations which we'll cover in the next video. Your hands are going to be set up in the proper place for the next punch. All right, guys, so there you have it, some basic punching techniques for MMA. Guys, make sure to leave us a thumbs up, and if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content just like this one. We'll see you guys
in the next video.
Take care.